as we start building Artemis, which is this program to span generations where Artemis 2, Artemis 3, these two missions are setting up human operations in space. These astronauts that are going to the moon are setting up the groundwork, risking their lives, doing what test pilots do. These are explorers, these are pioneers, specifically doing things that people have never done before. There's no guideline. You're making the book up as you go. These folks are going to be setting up all of the things that we need to live around, in space, around the moon long term, and then all of those things that we learn are going to set up our ability to go to Mars. So it's really setting up human exploration that will be around, that will have longevity for us, and won't just be something that was, like the first space race. When we first went to the moon, it was military based. Obviously it became scientific, and it became something that was a lot bigger. The space shuttle was not a military vehicle. It did not have a military mission. The space station, again, it was a mission of peace, of international partnership and science and exploration. And so Artemis is, as it stands today, moving forward in that respect. So we're going to start seeing more European Space Agency astronauts in the future. We're going to start seeing, I would assume, JAXA, the Japanese Space Agency. We're going to see some of those astronauts get involved. We saw the whole Artemis team that spans countries, all of those astronauts that ideally would have the potential to be chosen for Artemis 3 and beyond, they are going to be a part of the pool that does this. So this is a big moment for the next decade, really, that we're going to start seeing. In the next 5 years, we will see in Artemis 2, we'll see this first mission that's going to orbit around the moon. It's going to test all of the operations of the spacecraft, make sure that it's safe for humans. Even the way that they're going to the moon in Artemis 2 is progressive, in which they're not just taking one big shot at the moon. They're going to go into orbit first with the Orion capsule, and this was something that our mission specialist, Christina Koch, was talking about. The only professional engineer on the crew, so if there's anything that needs to be understood of how it's working or fixed, it's going to be Christina Koch that does that. Instrumental in keeping them alive and operational along the trip. The Orion capsule is going to spend some time in space, and they're going to test all of the systems, all the life support, everything that they need before they take the risk of going all the way to the moon. Now, I would assume there's some sort of abort procedure in the case that there isn't anything that's safe. And I like this approach of let's test all the systems on their way, instead of like Apollo, especially Apollo 11, where everything about getting to the moon's surface, and all those missions leading up to it, but it was high risk. And now these astronauts for Artemis 2 and 3 are, again, they are the ones putting themselves at risk and developing the system so that when we start going to the moon more regularly and we start making this routine, the systems are going to be in place that have already shown us what works and what doesn't work, and precautions and procedures that, who knows, in the next 10 years, automation may play a role. These humans get the rules down, and then we allow and give the logic to the AI to develop systems that can help moderate this along the way. By no means do I think that in 10 years, automation is going to completely remove the need for someone like Christina Koch or the pilot Victor Glover, who will have more experience on more new generation spacecraft than anyone else right now. He's flown the Crew Dragon on Crew 1. He was the pilot for that. He's an F-18 pilot. The Navy, a huge show for the Navy, beat out the Air Force and Army for the folks that were on the Artemis team. 2 Navy pilots, Reed Weissman and Victor Glover. So big Navy win. But that tangent I originally went off on about AI being used in these systems is so far out, it's not even funny. I mean, for NASA to implement like full AI right now would be very uncharacteristic. To go out a bit of a rant right now for something that I caused, so I apologize, folks. For NASA to implement AI on these human-based systems before, like, it took them a full decade of people risking their career to stick their necks out for folks like SpaceX to even have the opportunity to put new technology out there. SLS is based off of space shuttle technology. So it's like NASA is not going to just put AI on a system out there. But like I said, I apologize, folks. I went on this rant. This is my doing. So let's bring it back